The rain had been falling for hours, soaking the streets of downtown Chicago in a cold, relentless downpour. People hurried along the sidewalks with umbrellas and coats pulled tight, desperate to escape the chill. But one woman sat motionless on a park bench, her soaked hair clinging to her face, her scrubs torn and faded. Her name was Clara Hayes. Once, she was a nurse known for her steady hands and gentle smile. But tonight, she was just another invisible figure among the city lights, shivering, hungry, and lost. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet power of compassion, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Journal. These true-to-life stories remind us that one act of love can change everything. When the black Mercedes slowed to a stop near the park, Clara barely lifted her head. She assumed it was another car ignoring her, another life that would pass without seeing her. But the door opened, and a tall man stepped out, holding an umbrella. His suit was pressed, his shoes polished, yet his expression carried a softness that didn't belong to his world of boardrooms and deadlines. His name was Ryan Callan, a 36-year-old CEO, widowed, and the single father of a 7-year-old girl named Isla. Ryan had been driving home after another long day when he spotted her, a woman in hospital scrubs sitting alone in the rain. Something inside him stopped him from driving past. He didn't know her story, but he saw exhaustion in her eyes that mirrored his own from years ago, when he'd lost his wife to a car accident. He remembered what it was like to be on the edge, tired, hopeless, yet praying for a sign that life wasn't done with him yet. When Ryan approached, Clara tried to stand, embarrassed, but her legs trembled. She apologized quickly, explaining she'd find shelter soon. Her voice cracked, and Ryan could tell she hadn't eaten in days. Without hesitation, he said softly, "Come home with me." At first, she froze, thinking he was joking. But when she looked up and met his eyes, steady, kind, and sincere, she saw no judgment, only compassion. Against every instinct, she nodded. Within an hour, Clara was sitting in the back seat of his car, clutching a warm blanket his daughter usually kept for road trips. Ryan's penthouse was nothing short of breathtaking, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the skyline, soft lighting, and quiet jazz humming from the speakers. Yet Clara felt completely out of place, her shoes leaving wet marks on the marble floor. Ryan asked her to sit by the fireplace while he made tea. Isla, his daughter, peeked shyly from behind the hallway, curious about the stranger in their home. Clara smiled weakly, and Isla's eyes softened, perhaps sensing her kindness instantly. Over tea, Ryan listened as Clara told him her story. She had been a nurse for 8 years until the hospital she worked for closed during a financial crisis. Her mother passed soon after, leaving her with unpaid medical bills that swallowed her savings. When her apartment's rent increased, she had nowhere to go. She spent weeks applying for jobs, sleeping at bus stations, and praying for something to change. Ryan listened quietly, feeling an ache in his chest. He knew what it was like to feel powerless despite giving your all. After losing his wife, he'd thrown himself into work, building his company from the ground up while trying to be both father and mother to Isla. He understood survival, but what struck him most was Clara's dignity, how she spoke with humility and never once asked for pity. That night, Ryan insisted she take the guest room. Clara hesitated, promising to leave in the morning, but Isla, in her innocent voice, said, "You can stay until you smile again." Something about that melted Clara completely. She whispered, "Thank you," and for the first time in months, slept on a warm bed. Days turned into weeks. Ryan found himself enjoying Clara's quiet presence. She helped Isla with her homework, cooked breakfast, and often stayed up late helping Ryan organize paperwork for his company. She never acted like she belonged there, always ready to leave once she got back on her feet, but deep down, Ryan didn't want her to go. One afternoon, he came home early to find Clara in the garden with Isla, planting tulips in small clay pots. The sight stopped him cold, his daughter laughing freely, the woman he'd brought home from the rain smiling under the sunlight. For a fleeting moment, he felt something he hadn't felt in years, peace. But life has a way of testing fragile happiness. A week later, Ryan's board of directors found out about Clara. Rumors spread fast, a homeless woman living in the CEO's home? Questions arose about his judgment, and whispers about inappropriate behavior began circulating. Ryan's assistant warned him that investors were uneasy. When confronted in a meeting, Ryan defended her fiercely, saying that compassion was not a weakness but a strength. Still, the damage had begun. That evening, Ryan found Clara in the kitchen, washing dishes, unaware of what had happened. When he told her, she went pale. She begged him to let her go, saying she didn't want to ruin his reputation or career. But Ryan shook his head. "You're not ruining anything," he said firmly. "You've reminded me what it means to be human again." Despite his words, Clara couldn't bear to stay. That night, she left a note on the kitchen counter, thanking him for everything and promising she'd find her way. When Ryan woke up to find her gone, he searched every shelter, every hospital, every street corner, but she'd disappeared. Isla cried for days, asking when Miss Clara would come back. Months passed. The seasons changed. Ryan's company faced another storm. A health initiative project that needed medical oversight had lost its lead coordinator. During the recruitment interviews, he reviewed dozens of resumes, until one name stopped him cold: Clara Hayes, registered nurse. Her file showed she'd recently been hired at a small clinic downtown. Without thinking, he drove there immediately. When he walked in, Clara was tending to a young mother and her baby. She looked healthier now, her hair neatly tied back, her posture confident, but her eyes still carried the same warmth. When she saw him, she froze, tears welling up before she could even speak. Ryan approached slowly and said, "I never stopped looking for you." Clara wiped her eyes, laughing softly. "I told you I'd find my way," she whispered. Ryan smiled. "You did. But it doesn't mean you have to walk it alone." From that day on, their bond deepened. Ryan helped her establish a foundation for homeless healthcare workers, a program that offered free housing and job placement for nurses who'd lost their way. Clara poured her heart into the work, using her own story to inspire others. Together, they became a force of change in the city, not as CEO and nurse, but as two people who understood that life's greatest wealth was compassion. One bright spring morning, Ryan and Isla visited the new clinic Clara had opened under the foundation's name, Hope Haven. Children laughed in the courtyard, nurses chatted over coffee, and Clara stood by the door, greeting patients with her radiant smile. Isla ran to her, hugging her tightly. Ryan watched them, his heart full, and for the first time since his wife's death, he felt complete. Later that evening, as they stood on the balcony overlooking the city lights, Clara turned to him and said, "You saved me, Ryan." He shook his head, smiling. "No, Clara. You reminded me what saving someone really means." If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that one act of kindness can rewrite a life, please like, share, and subscribe to Kindness Journal. Every story here celebrates the beauty of compassion and the hope we can all bring to one another. And before you go, leave a comment below sharing one act of kindness that changed your life or someone else's. Let's fill the world with stories of hope, one heart at a time. The city lights flickered below them, two souls standing together under the soft glow of a new beginning. Ryan wrapped his arm around Clara, Isla's laughter echoing in the background, and in that peaceful moment, they both realized something profound. Sometimes, home isn't a place, it's a person who sees you when no one else does.